is an absolute honor to introduce our next guests. HubSpot CEO, Yamini Rangan, Zoom founder and CEO, Yuan, and Fellows Fund founding partner, Alex Ren. Alex will be moderating this fireside chat on pioneering the AI revolution. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, so I'm Alex Ren, the founding partner of Fellows Fund. Just a brief introduction about the Fellows Fund, and we are a early-stage AI venture capital, built by 25 AI executives from Google, Facebook, and with Microsoft, all the top tech companies, right? So, and it's my honor to moderate this fireside chat, featuring two great leaders in the space, and Yamini, Rangan, and Yuan. And we do share one thing in common. We are all first-generation immigrants to the United States. And let's give some a big applause here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we started, we all have humble beginnings. And I remember Eric tried 9 times to apply for a US visa, and finally came here and founded Zoom, and which benefits billions of people during and after pandemic. And Yamini's story is equally inspiring. And I remember she actually came in US and 25, is that right? 25, and with a few $100. And then her first job was in a restaurant. But
That's
eventually,
right.
Yeah, eventually she became a leader in top tech companies like SAP, Workday, Dropbox, and eventually HubSpot, right? That's leaders like them are truly our role models, and they embody the spirit of entrepreneurship in their blood, right? So let's dive into our conversations. And we're going to also leave some a little bit of time for audience to ask some questions for them. Okay. Let me start with my first question.
Sure.
Okay. So, seeing the outbreak of generative AI development, so what's your personal feeling? Does it enlighten your passion again to work as an entrepreneur?
I can get started. Eric, 9 times. I don't even know what happened 9 times. This is a story that we have to catch. But it is so fantastic to be here and see the energy. And this is the entrepreneurial energy of the Valley. And it's just fascinating times. And it's such a great time to be here. And to answer your question, Alex, absolutely. I think I've replaced every one of my Netflix binge watching with Gen AI podcast watching, and there's so much that is happening right now in the industry that it feels like things are moving at the speed of light, where every week there are 10 announcements and 10 new, big progress within the field, and so it absolutely is. I started my career, you mentioned I did my undergrad in engineering in India, came here for master's, and one of my first subjects here as an engineer was neural networks. And back in, this was early 90s, neural networks were just kind of getting started. And to see the level of progress in terms of what neural networks are able to do, which is really the foundation for any of the large language models, is just fascinating. So great to be here and great to be in technology at this time.
Thank you. So anyway, so when you ask a question, I just feel like my feeling is I feel very old. So the reason why, back to the early days of internet, right? So I spent a lot of time trying to understand how internet works and familiar with the internet protocol, HTML, the router, everything. I feel like I can catch up. But now you look at what's going on in the generative AI world, right? Every day, all the research papers, so many large language models, so many companies, also a lot of acronyms as well. I cannot remember any of them anymore. So that's why I feel very old. So, but anyway, so that means the innovation speed in the AI industry, in particular for generative AI industry, is I think moving very, very rapidly. That's huge opportunity. Fortunately, I'm the CEO of Zoom. Otherwise, probably very likely, I will start a company to focus on AI. As Percy just shared, right? Even look at the benchmark. Quite often it's ad hoc, right? How to make it every model, right? Look at the accuracy, calibration, right? The response time, or computing, consumption. A lot of areas you can innovate. The huge opportunities. You look at the technology stack, right? How to make it a large language model more scalable, right? Are there any better model than transformer, right? How to apply, AI, generative AI to all those vertical use cases? Huge opportunity. This is the best time for any of you who have, a background or interest in AI or also in generative AI. I think this is the best time to start a company. You are all very young, so I cannot do that anymore. So.
I disagree with Eric. Entrepreneur gonna never be old, So so after launch of the ChatGPT, did you receive custom calls, actually for more AI integration in your products? So has AI become a top priority for your respective companies since then?
Go ahead, Eric.
I think before the ChatGPT or ChatGPT-4 got popular, right? We already heavily invested into AI.
Okay.
You look at all the basic features, right? Like a virtual background, right? Or maybe the noise suppression, and also like gesture, the hand gesture recognition. All those features, guess what? We leverage AI already, right? And also this reason why we heavily invested into the AI, the resources. Over the past several years, look at the top of our two of our most important acquisitions. One is Kites, another one is Solvi. Both of them, they focus on AI, right? Having said that, when we talk about generative AI, for sure, we also need to embrace that and double down on that. It's quite often, every time I talk with the customers, number one questions recently they ask about how you guys leverage AI to improve your product experience. The second question always, what's your AI strategy, right? This is very important. I think every business you have to embrace, otherwise you are going to lag behind. Today, like the Zoom, we asked every product managers and engineers how you can leverage AI to improve this feature and that feature or the product roadmap. We're also going to have AI hackathon as well. Again, this is more like a very basic stuff for every company to embrace AI now.
No, I completely agree with that. I would say that there's two parts to your question, I think. One is are customers asking, and what's the conversation you're having with customers? And then second, has this become like a primary priority within the company? And the first part of the question, it's interesting. As I talk to customers, they typically fall in three categories. The first one is, come on, where are you? What's your roadmap? And why haven't I gotten 10 more features? And how can I leverage it every day? These are kind of super early adopters. They're already experimenting with it. They're looking for ways to improve their own effectiveness and productivity, and they're all over this. I think the second one is we're interested and we're learning, but we don't quite know exactly how to apply it beyond the hype of kind of going into an LLM and asking questions. And so they're kind of waiting. And by the way, we serve small, medium businesses, right? We serve companies with typically between 1,000 and 2,000 employees. These are not the folks that have AI experts, LLM experts, model experts within the company. So they're kind of waiting for us, and they're interested, intrigued, want to leverage generative AI. And interestingly, there is actually a whole group of customers that are like, okay, this sounds good, but I just don't have the time to go through the hype and learn about the 20 models that Professor Liang just talked about, right? Like I can't process all of that, and they're more of the late adopters. So I do think the technology is developing at a much faster rate than customer adoption of technology. Now, having said that, from a HubSpot perspective, last year we knew that this was a trend, and we've had like an AI group, but this year we've really focused our whole organization on generative AI and leveraging the use cases there. So for your second question, has it shifted company priority? Absolutely, yes. I think you can talk to Our product managers in almost any product right now, they're thinking about their roadmap. They are looking at what we can do with generative AI that can drive the effectiveness for our customers. And so absolutely focused much more in terms of leveraging Gen AI.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's talk about the specific use cases, right? So how do Zoom and HubSpot use AI today, and what's the impact on your customers?
I definitely want to hear because I'm looking for the next set of features from Zoom. So from a HubSpot perspective, I just mentioned this, the customer segment that we serve, small, medium businesses, don't have AI experts, not large language model experts, and we've always really felt like we can take sophisticated technology and really democratize that for SMBs. So huge relevance. And the way simplistically we think about it is that we can help our customers generate content. We can help our customers generate insights. We can help our customers think about how they can generate code faster. So there's just like fairly big implications. And from a product strategy perspective, we're just building AI into the foundation of HubSpot. It's not one where it's going to show up in one product. It's like foundational at the platform level, and we're looking at how we can leverage LLM technologies. And I'll say that the first two big areas that we put out a feature in March. The first one is called ChatSpot, and that is a natural language interface into HubSpot. And it's very simple. If you think about a CRM, today you've had to be a marketing expert, you've had to be a sales expert, you need to understand our reports, click through, and be able to get the value of CRM. And ChatSpot sits on top of large language models, connects to our APIs, and provides a natural language interface. So you can ask it, what was the web traffic? How did it compare to last year? Can you create that report and send it to me every Monday? You can just interface with software, which is going to drive a level of engagement. We're pretty excited. In the last 2 months, we've had more than 40,000 users that are adopting it, engaging with it, giving us feedback and iterating on it, and that's great. And then the second set of features, again, in alpha stage that we put out, is content ideation and creation. Now, I think it's going to become table stakes, but the ability to be able to look at, kind of content that you can put out as a marketeer or summarize the content as a salesperson or a service person is just exceptional. And again, early days, we're super excited about what we can do in terms of driving value for our customers.
Yeah, so at Zoom, we already have quite a few Gen AI features in beta, and very soon we're going to GA those features. Very soon. Something like a meeting summary after the meeting is over, right? And we can generate a meeting summary. And also, let's say if you are late to the meeting, we also can generate a real-time summary. Make sure you're not going to miss anything. And also, we also have a team chat solution. It's on par with the Slack and the Teams. Quite of you probably may not know that feature. I urge you to try that feature. It works so well. It's also free. I also can leverage Gen AI to help you compose a chat as well. Last year, we also announced the email and calendar, right? How to leverage Gen AI to help you write an email. Very soon, while Whiteboard, we also integrated the Gen AI as well. Our contact center, virtual agent, I think a lot of Gen AI features, either in GA or in the beta. Again, there's a lot of cool stuff, yeah.
Thank you. I'll be using those features all the day. And next question is about actually today's topic. Is it open source or closed source? And I know you guys are working with some large language models like OpenAI or Anthropic. And so will you also explore some open source models like Llama or DALL-E or others?
I think our approach is we look at everything from end user perspective, right? Because at Enterprise Connect, prior to that, we spent a lot of time talking with the customers to try to understand their demand, right? What kind of issues they are facing. So we came up with a federated AI approach. So meaning, not only do we have our own, large language model, and also we embrace others as well. We announced the collaboration with OpenAI back to the Enterprise Connect. and also recently invested in Anthropic, those two great, large language model companies. At the same time, we're also going to embrace open source as well. And in particular, and when customers, some large enterprise customer, they told us, hey, we already have our own large language model. We don't want to use any of the models you offer. Can you support that? We also support that. We also can, integrate with our customers, the large language model as well. Essentially, that's a, federated AI approach. No matter open source or closed source or custom model or our own model, we all support that. We center around the customer demand. That's why very, flexible, AI approach.
I completely agree. I think, the question really, from our perspective, we are multi-LLM friendly, right? So we're working with OpenAI right now, but I think what is happening is that open source is, catching up really, really quickly. And I think it's all a question of matter of weeks in terms of the improvement in catch up. And so I think, again, very much like you, Eric, and Zoom, we approach it from our customers' perspective. And I think our customers will demand that we are multi-LLM. And it's pretty exciting to see the kind of improvements that are happening in weeks, not months or years. So
Yeah, that's a great answer. And in order to train a good model, so you need high quality data. So I'd love to learn more about your data strategy. Like you have some private data, being able to train a good model or fine tune a good model, right? So what's your data strategy?
yeah, maybe I can start. I think it's a really good question. So right now we're working with a couple of large language models, and I think about it as data out strategy versus data in strategy. And what I mean by that is data out is if our customers, sitting on top of HubSpot are querying large language models, we provide them the controls. They can absolutely opt out, and it's pretty easy for us to say none of their data and prompts can actually train large language models. So the control is really in the hands of our customers in terms of whether their data is allowed to be able to train large language models or not. So I think that's number one. I think in terms of the data in strategy, data within HubSpot, again, we've always focused on customers and giving them the ability to figure out what they can share and what they cannot share. In this age, it is really important in terms of transparency. I think Professor Liang talked a little bit about transparency. It's really providing clarity to our customers of what we're leveraging their data for, how we're leveraging it, and providing them clarity for what they control and what they want to control. And I think that's how we broadly approach it. Now, there is, troves of data. It's a question of how do we leverage it, both data in as well as data out. Eric, I'm very curious how you think about it.
Great answer. Great answer. Second question. Second your comment. Next question.
Thank you. So then you guys know, so recently there was some congressional hearing featuring, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, and it sounded like AI regulation is going to be needed. And what are the potential risks associated with generative AI? And in light of this, what could be the implications for enterprise software industry if we witness increased AI regulations?
I think speaking Sam, I think he did a great job, right? I think we should all thank him. Let's give OpenAI Sam a big round of applause. I think he did a great job. I think back to your question, I think the key is, I would say, every company, right, have to, I would say, take generative AI very, very seriously. Meaning you got to approach AI in a very, very safe and ethical manner. Otherwise, very, very, very likely you are going to lose the trust, right? Because you cannot view the customer data as your own data, right? You have to make sure put the customer and the end user security and the trust at the center for everything what you do. Otherwise, very likely they go with the competitors, right? That's why at Zoom, for almost every Gen AI features, by default, we do not leverage those data to train our model, right? We have to let the customer opt in. Otherwise, if you do not take that approach, even if you have a great, LLM model, guess what? Customer, they may not trust you. When customer lose your trust, my God, nothing will work, right? That's very important in business, philosophy. So.
I completely agree with that. I mean, let's just take a moment. If you have not heard the congressional hearings and the whole conversation, please do it, because what was just incredible listening to that conversation is a couple things. I'm not political, so I'm not making a political statement, but for the first time, bipartisan, everybody wants to solve this problem together. The second thing that struck me was that you have the industry leaders like Sam going in and saying, hey, regulate us. Like, I started my career in telco. We didn't go to regulators and say, regulate us. And I think the fact that we're having these conversations and the fact that we've learned something from the social media debacle and we're kind of leaning in is just incredible. Then the question becomes, what do you want to regulate? And what are the policies there for us to guide? And it really comes down to transparency and customer trust. I think the question then becomes, what do you want to regulate? Well, I want to know whether I'm interacting with a human being or an artificial intelligent bot. I want to know how my data is being used. I want to have a little bit of control of where my data goes if I do decide to opt into something. And so I think it was just great to see the kinds of conversations that we're having. And I think as an industry, we should be part of, really working with, educational institutions, but also with the government and policymakers to make this something that is value additive for humanity. So I'm very encouraged by it.
Yeah, we will see how it develops. And next question about you guys are both public, CEO of public companies, and how do you balance cost reduction and investment in AI? Right. So this it's a question about how do you think AI will change the workforce?
I think on many fronts, right, AI is going to change everything. Right? And from our perspective, we've got to look at it from a product, process, and people perspective, right? From product side, we just talk about that. You have to embrace AI, how to leverage AI more and more, right, to improve the product experience. I think internally, you look at the process, right, how to leverage AI to improve the process workflow, right? Fully, make sure your process fully automated, and also leverage AI to figure out what are those holes, right, in your process. That's also very important. And the last but not least is, how to leverage AI improve productivity. It's very important, almost on every front. That's the reason why, in order to win for product side, you have to embrace AI on many fronts because it's going to change everything. What do we do? So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that AI is not going to replace humans, but humans that leverage AI are probably going to replace humans that don't leverage AI. And we're in the business of helping people leverage technology and democratize technology. And so I do think that, when you think about like productivity, there are some rote tasks, repetitive tasks, low-risk tasks that will get automated. But that also means that the value that humans can add is actually going to increase, not decrease. And so we look at, the same, product and people, but how do we help a marketeer become even more effective, not just generating volumes of content, but high-value content? How do we help salespeople become even more effective in connecting with customers? And how do we do the same thing? So I think that's the lens with which we are approaching it.
Yeah, so like other technological revolutions, technology always benefits us and bring more opportunity for us, right? So I believe that as well. And that talk about, so there are many audience, who are founders and investors in the space. And what opportunity do AI entrepreneurs and investors have in this revolution? And given big companies control over large language models and data, how can small startups compete?
I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, huge opportunity, right?
Yeah.
If you're if you're an entrepreneur, if you build a startup company, I would say this is the best opportunity. I think don't always assume, big, large companies, they can innovate faster, right? Look at OpenAI. Nobody heard about them 5 years ago. They were very small. Look at it today. Anthropic, the same. They're small startup before. Now there's only 2 companies, right? Funny thing is, recently a friend of mine, right? He's not from high tech. He asked me, hey, have you ever tried Microsoft or OpenAI? I think no. OpenAI is a different company. They're a startup company, right? Not like develop those cool technologies, not developed by those big companies with tens of thousands engineers. A startup company, I think, have huge opportunity because they are very nimble. You move very fast, right? Your innovation speed is much better. That's the reason why when something new is coming, like OpenAI, so like a generative AI, this is the best time for startup because you are very nimble.
I would completely second that. I think there are, some incumbency advantages, and then there are some startup advantages, right? If you think about incumbents, the data and what you do with the data is a competitive moat. The ability to get feedback from your customers, because one of the reasons why OpenAI got to millions of users in a very short period of time is that they put it in front of users and they got the feedback, and therefore they're iterating much faster than others. And so I think incumbents have the advantage of the human feedback in the loop, as well as the ability to leverage large data. On the flip side, this is a time where processes that have powered knowledge workers should be reimagined. I mean, you think of like every process that a knowledge worker does, the lines are completely blurred in terms of what is AI-driven, what is AI-assisted, and what is human-driven. And if you're a startup, you're an entrepreneur, just do that. Like, you have the ability to be even more nimble, to start from a clean sheet of paper and reimagine what work needs to be and how you can power it. And so I think it's a great time to be in both, more established, technology player as well as a startup. And I think we're going to have a great deal of fun over the next decade with this.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I totally agree with you too. And as an AI investor, I think I always use this analogy of more like internet in the 95, 96. Yahoo opened this kind of new space. And today, OpenAI, those companies, and they open this whole space. But there's huge opportunity for startups and other companies to apply AI into different verticals. So that's I deeply agree with that.
So Alex, I guess the implication of your question is really about whoever has a good idea, want to start a company, make sure to talk with Alex. They have a fellows fund can invest you guys. So
yeah, that's great. Well, recently we already invested 10 companies in the AI space in the last 2 months. Yes, totally agree with that. So we do have a little bit of time to take maybe 2 questions, and so maybe in the front. Please state your name and the company, and please.
Shall I go?
Yeah.
Wow, that's why Zoom is better, right?
Yeah.
The Mac does not work. So
Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right, can you hear me now?
Wonderful to be here. Thanks, Alex, for co-hosting this. Basically, my question is for Eric. I think it's an ethically fraught question, but a very important one. The modification of what people say in conversation via Zoom is an application that my friends are all fascinated by. I'm the CEO of a company called Omniscience. We basically build these retrieval augmented generative systems so that all of your data, everything you've ever written or seen or talked about with people, is behind the large language model. And I want to use this model in my Zoom calls to augment my decisions, to answer my questions in ways that are similar to what I would have said, but that are much better, that are detailed, that are thought through. And every employee that I have can perform much more effectively in the face of that kind of feature. And I wonder if you think it's too ethically fraught to build it, or if that's Zoom intention.
yeah, it's sort of a background in where again, because the conversation we all have those data, right? Either you record a meeting again, as I mentioned, right? In the meeting summary feature will be available very soon, right? So not only do we support that, but also down the road we also support a plugin as well. You can apply your own model, to because we try to make the conversation, all the data, open, to those, the meeting host, right? You can apply your own model, also can leverage our own model, right? To support that. Right? Essentially, we're going to have that very soon. So.
Okay. Sorry. No.
Yeah, exactly. Real time and also the post meeting as well. We support both. Like a 1 hour meeting, after the meeting is over, we generate that. Also in real time, you're late to the meeting, as I said earlier, we also support it as well. Also expose API for you to leverage your own, plugin as well.
Yeah. Next question, please.
This is Stratos from Flying Ventures. One of the things that keep me up at night is making the wrong investment. And in the world of generative AI, it looks like there are a lot of opportunities out there where companies are placing a bet on a fine-tuned foundational model that belongs to somebody else. What is your opinion whether these are, with regards to the risk, given that, as you said, Congress is about to regulate that industry?
Go ahead.
Address that?
No, go ahead.
I think it's a tough question. I do not have a great answer to that. But however, I would say, given all those opportunities, right? I think it's hard to bet on one company, one technology, right? So but you have to be open-minded, right? So it's back to like many years ago, right? So in early days of internet, right? So you have to take an open-minded approach. Invest probably a lot of companies, regardless of all kinds of challenges or you are facing. You have to, because you do not know who is going to win. So that's why our approach is always like take an open-minded approach. Adopt all the large language models and talk with every startup companies, invest in almost every possible successful companies startup. That's kind of my view. So.
Your job is exceptionally difficult, and I think it always is when you're doing a big transition and a technology transition like this. I think you have to look at like every layer of the stack and who is getting disintermediated, who's got competitive moats, and who's going to like survive. And it's at this point you can take every layer of the stack, from the hardware to LLMs to software on top of that, to like existing SaaS companies, and you can like put that and you can have your own thesis on who's going to win, who's not going to win, and who's got the advantage. And it's pretty hard. I would say that if you'd asked like maybe 6 months ago, you'd have thought that the world is going to have a few LLMs. Well, now 6 months after, you'll say no. I don't think that there's going to be few LLMs. There's going to be many, many specialized LLMs in there. And I think every layer is going to likely get, really transformed as we figure this out. So early stages, you have to have a hypothesis. You have to make a few bets and know that, to Eric's point, your views can, have to adapt and shift very quickly. I mean, at HubSpot, we actually look at it from our perspective, who's got the advantage, what is the advantage, and we spent a bunch of time talking to a lot of AI experts, from academia, from the industry, and there's not clarity of where we will be 3 years from now or 5 years from now, but there is actually pretty good clarity of what you can do right now, which is get a ton of feedback, iterate, and really identify use cases that are going to be table stakes that you have to have, but then identify use cases that are going to be specialized based on the data that you actually have. And so that's kind of the approach that we're taking. But it's exciting times, but it's also times of great transition.
So one more thing, you look at the search engine, right? Back in the 1995, 1996 timeframe, right? There were so many search engines, right? You thought it's really hard to invest. Guess what? Finally, at that time, no Google. Google was born from 1999, right? If you lose the focus, right, you say, oh my God, that war is over, right? I'm not going to invest in any search engine companies. You're going to lose, the great investment, right? I think the same thing can be applied to today's AI world. So you have to be, patient, open-minded, try always keep an eye on those, great startup companies, right? Otherwise, you do not know who is going to win eventually, right? That's the key. So.
With that, thank you very much for your sharing, and let's give a big round of applause to
Thank you.
Erica and Yamini. Thank you.